Alright, so a number of leaks were posted on 4chan a few days ago in regards to future Marvel projects, including Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Avengers Infinity War, and general future Marvel Studios information. I'll be doing breakdowns of all the leaked info, so be sure to check out all of those videos. I'll be linking all of them in the middle of your screen. As always, be sure to take what I'm about to tell you with a grain of salt, and I'll be warning you about potential spoilers just in case any of this stuff actually makes it to the screen. Now, with Doctor Strange, it says that test screenings have been positive, with the recent reshoot streamlining Strange's training, which takes up most of the second act, and also to add a little bit more humor and a Tony Stark cameo. Now, reshoots aren't exactly the most exciting or unique thing in the world, but if this is true, then it makes sense of the Hollywood Reporter's article that community creator/writer Dan Harmon was brought on by Marvel to write up a few extra script pages for reshoots. It's also interesting to see that mention of a Tony Stark cameo, since a ton of people have been theorizing it for a while now, with a lot of them sharing this panel from the comics. No idea whether or not more comedic reshoots would include this bit, but who knows? Might be fun to see. Seriously though, it would be a fun throwback to Robert Downey Jr.'s cameo in The Incredible Hulk, since his character hasn't really cameoed in anything since. The post goes on to say that Kevin Feige is being particularly careful with this movie because Doctor Strange and Baron Mordo are supposed to become major recurring characters in the MCU going forward. This makes sense for a number of reasons. Number one, this is opening the doors for a whole new side of the MCU, namely magic and the supernatural. And you wouldn't want to do anything that would mess with that door too early. Number two, both of these characters have connections with Dormammu, a character I'm going to talk about in a little bit. So it makes sense for Marvel to keep them around for a while and build on them for audience benefit, especially if they'll be introducing a big antagonist like Dormammu in the future. It also says that the Time Stone is featured in the movie. This was pretty much a no-brainer since Kevin Feige kinda alluded to this in an earlier interview with Entertainment Weekly, stating that Doctor Strange's amulet, the Eye of Agamotto, would be able to manipulate probabilities, which is another way of saying screw around with time. This is also a really good way to link him to the events of Infinity War and to get him involved with the Avengers. We also see that the movie is supposed to take place simultaneously to the MCU, with Stephen Strange's accident happening shortly after Tony Stark returns from Afghanistan and his training spanning all the other movies. Now, if this is true, then it does make sense for a ton of reasons, especially because it's a really creative way to keep Doctor Strange out of the events we've seen in the MCU so far, while still making sense out of that name drop from Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
A TV anchor in Cairo, the Undersecretary of Defense, a high school valedictorian in Iowa City, Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange, anyone who's a threat.
Moving on, we see that Mads Mikkelsen's character is supposed to be aligned with Dormammu, who will have a bigger role in the sequel. For those of you who don't know, Dormammu is a powerful Doctor Strange villain, who rules over an alternate dimension and regularly uses demons, monsters, and dark magic to fight Doctor Strange. Baron Mordo in the comics is pretty much one of his lackeys, fighting Doctor Strange on his master's behalf. The post goes on to state that there are plans for a sequel, with Doctor Strange and Baron Mordo both set to return, but there are no other developments as of right now. I kinda expected this to be a thing, since Marvel's been killing it at the box office with every single one of their movies, but I didn't expect them to start planning out a sequel this early. If this is true, then I think it says a lot about Marvel's faith in this movie and about the reactions audiences have been giving them in test screenings, so it's really exciting to think where they might go with the sequel. Finally, it also says that the casting of the Ancient One was complex because of how people perceive it as a stereotype and because of the association with Tibet in light of how the Chinese box office is important to the movie studios nowadays, and that actress Tilda Swinton was picked because of how unusual she looks. Aside from being kind of mean to her, I do see what the poster's talking about, and I do understand Marvel's reasoning in casting her. There's always been a ton of people complaining about the character of the Ancient One, calling him a stereotype and all of that stuff, and in all honesty, I'm sure we all know no studio nowadays wants to do anything that could potentially rock that Chinese box office money boat. But seriously, Tilda Swinton's got a history of playing characters with a more androgynous feel and look to them, like Gabriel and Constantine, and given what we've seen in the tie-in comic and that general feel the trailers give off, I think Marvel wants to keep that trend going with the Ancient One character. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to click that like button, maybe leave me a comment while you're at it, and go ahead and click that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to check out any of my social media pages. I've got a Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. All those links are going to be in the description below. And I've also got my last video right there in the middle of your screen, so if you want to check that out, go ahead and click it, check it out. Alright, and I will see you all next time.